Oh, let me tell you something. Busting makes me feel good.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Blockbusting, the podcast where we love to hate the movies. I'm your host, Jay Light. Joining me from sunny nighttime Indianapolis, Indiana, my friend Alex Price.
Hello,
Hello.
Jay. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
You know, pretty good.
Nice.
Yeah.
I like that we get to do this. I like doing shows on the road. I haven't done them in the U.S. particularly. So now it's all international road stuff.
Wow. I'm glad I could be your first.
You're the first one. Popping that cherry, dude.
Well, I'll be gentle.
Good, please. I don't want you to overpower me too much. You got the
formidable
size and
boy.
strength for it. Yeah. We got a movie here. I'm surprised. I think, if memory serves, you're the first one to break into the James Bond franchise on Blockbusting.
Okay.
And it's a hell of a movie to pick. It's the Quantum of Solace.
Yeah. I mean, I was going through the list of like all the other movies that had been chosen because there were some I wanted to talk about, and I was just like, oh man, these have already been taken. And then I was thinking of like movies. Like, there've been movies where I've like almost walked out, and this was definitely one of those movies where I almost walked out, and it just has stayed with me of how bad it was.
What was your experience like watching this movie? You saw it in theaters. You almost walked.
So, like, you know, my normal theater routine is I get stoned out of my mind, and then I go to, you know, the old Cineplex to be whisked away to a fantasy world away from my normal dumb fucking life.
Uh-huh.
And this movie is so fucking boring. So boring. It's insane to me.
A boring James Bond movie. It's one of the greatest sins in
And that's
film
the thing.
history.
So, like, it's coming out after just a great debut by Daniel Craig with Casino Royale.
Yep.
Casino Royale just kind of kicked everyone in the dick and was like literally with that fucking rope scene. With
Oh
the,
my
yeah, do you remember
God.
that
With
stuff?
with he's
just
flipping it
flinging
around.
rope. Old Mads Mikkelsen's in that shit.
Yeah.
such a-
chief.
The scene up front with the parkour, the guy's getting chased like through the construction site.
Yeah.
Like, that movie's lit. Mm-hmm. And then Quantum of Solace is the follow-up, and it's basically the deleted scenes of Casino Royale.
Yeah. Down to even having another worse parkour construction site fight at the very beginning.
Yeah, definitely. And
It's lesser. Oh, God. It's so frustrating.
And the villain is just, nothing's cool about him. Mm-hmm. He's just a boring guy that looks like anybody could beat the shit out of.
Right.
He doesn't really have any like cool henchmen that I can remember.
No, he's got a dude with a bowl cut, and that's,
you know,
it's
and
not
that's
that exciting.
No, I'm not.
Nobody with
scared
metal
of any-
teeth, nobody with a sharp hat.
No, just no sort of weird ethnicity, or, you know, there's no midget, or you know, Christopher Lee has 3 nipples. There's been some wild shit that's happened in the James Bond universe. We can all agree there.
Of course.
And this one is just rooted in absolute fucking boredom. Mm-hmm. And
Which is not a realm James Bond should be operating out of. Especially not the Daniel Craig James Bond, who has cemented himself over the course of just Casino Royale to be like, oh, I'm a badass.
And then
I will fuck
Skyfall
shit
came
up.
after this one.
Yeah.
And Skyfall was great. So it's like,
Skyfall was amazing.
how do you have just you're making a sandwich of these 3 movies? Like, fucking skip this one. There's no point to even watching.
You don't need to see it.
No.
Nobody needs to go out and watch it. And it's such a shame. I rewatched this yesterday.
Yes.
I remember I used to own Quantum of Solace on DVD.
Okay.
Not Casino Royale, just
No.
Quantum.
Probably because it was in a $5 bin, Jay.
Yeah,
And you're just
probably.
like,
I think I saw it was an impulse buy at a Best Buy at a bargain bin. And I was like,
Totally.
yeah, why not? I remember this one.
Yeah.
Not even I liked it. Just, oh, I remember that happened.
Yeah.
It's got some cool, because there's some stuff, there's some elements in there that feel like they could be cool. Like you got a classic Bond girl with a dumb name in Strawberry Fields.
Of forever. Yeah.
And she gets, coated and encased in oil. Mm-hmm. And you have this scene at the hotel in the desert in the very end.
Right.
That feels like it was ripped out of a much cooler James Bond movie.
Right.
But everything else leading up to it is just so.
Is that the scene
paint
where
by
they're like
numbers.
trying to like figure out like who's all in the group, and like they all like stand, like everybody kind of like we know who's here, and then they all kind of stand up and like try to leave.
Yeah. And they're like, the boring villain plays his hand to the boring dictator, and then they're just
And
like,
it's all about oil. Who gives a shit? That's not what I care about with James Bond. Like, I want lasers.
Yeah.
I want fucking espionage.
Yeah.
And if it's not about that, then I want it about like cocaine with Benicio del Toro's first acting role, like that other James Bond movie I liked.
Yeah. You know what? One of my favorite James Bond movies, besides The New Realm, is GoldenEye.
Oh, yeah.
Because GoldenEye's the perfect amount of like wacky James Bond shit, with James Bond also being a smooth operator.
Right.
It tempers all of the stuff with Alan Cumming and Trevelyan and being total fucking whack jobs.
Yeah.
With Pierce Brosnan as James Bond just being suave as hell.
Also, I mean, yeah, that movie's good, but also quite possibly one of the best video games of all time. So
And without a doubt.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to play a video game version of Quantum. It's boring.
It'd be like if Myst was about spies.
Just clicking
Just
around,
boring,
trying to find.
solving puzzles about why OPEC is bad. Come on.
I have to go to this party for environmental activists and find the cool person.
Fuck this movie in the face.
The most exciting thing in this movie isn't even happened by James Bond. It's when Strawberry Fields trips somebody down a flight of stairs.
There's a top-notch scene there.
This is great.
But that's it. That's all there is.
It's such a shame.
And so when this happened, they gave a new director the chance to make this movie. Not a new director, but like a new person like in the fucking...
Right? Mark Forster.
Mark Forster, let's look at his track record and see if it screams, hey, you should definitely direct a James Bond movie.
I mean...
We got Monsters Ball.
Yep.
Which, action-packed. Billy
of
Bob Thornton,
course.
fucking Halle Berry.
To the finest action stars of our generation.
Yeah, because there were guns pointed at each other when that happened.
Then
also, Finding Neverland. Let's talk about Roald Dahl just slaying puss.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's what, while he's drinking. Because that's what that movie's about. Also, how about, let's make Will Ferrell a sad tax attorney or IRS agent in Stranger Than Fiction. So you've got these three movies and let's let this dude helm an action movie.
He's got the total chops for it. Which that's the thing that blows my mind the most, as after this, they kept giving him more action movies. They didn't let him just stay in his lane, which was, we're going to make some sort of like bland, prestige-y kind of dramas. He went from this to Machine Gun Preacher and World War Z.
Okay, but like he produced World War Z. I don't think he was the director, right?
He was the director.
Oh, Jesus God. Yeah. World War Z was okay.
Exactly. That's the same thing with Quantum of Solace.
Yeah.
It's got such a low ceiling. It's a competent movie, but it's no more than that. And even for most of the movie, it doesn't get to that level of where it could be.
And so like I watched, just to like refresh my memory, I watched the trailer before this. And you watch the trailer and it looks decent. Mm-hmm. It looks decent. But the one thing I could say is you clearly have no idea what the point of any of it is. You're just going, okay, well, they showed me some action and it's coming off of a dynamite fucking movie with Casino Royale. So you're just going like, what? That's exactly why I went to watch it.
Yeah, same. This is James Bond on cruise control.
Right.
That's what this whole movie is.
This would be like if James Bond hooked up with the hottest chick, and right as she took off her clothes, she was just like, I'm only giving you a hand job.
Oh, God. And Bond would not stand for that.
No, and why should I have to stand for a hand job Bond?
No, I don't want that. I wouldn't even want to get a hand job during this movie.
Yeah, because I'd just be like, I'm just frustrated with everything going on here.
Probably couldn't get hard.
No. And this movie cost $225 million to make.
Yeah. That blows my mind.
For the deleted scenes of Casino Royale.
It's just over an hour and a half long, and it feels like it's too long because they had to just pad out all of the deleted scenes with just, look at all this cool computer stuff.
Right. Because part of it is a continuation of Casino Royale. Like, he's pissed that he lost that lady from the first one. Like,
yep.
But, like, Dominic Green is not a compelling villain.
Nope.
He's not. He has nothing going against him. Like, if you're going to have a normal villain, then, dude, I remember around the same time the Mission Impossible came out where, like, Philip Seymour Hoffman was the villain. And he was just, like, you could just tell he was like fucking mean.
Yeah.
Like Dominic Green's not. He's just a piece of shit. And he drowns in motor oil.
I know. It's so...
He's also... I read this. He's the only Bond villain to die off screen because no one gave a shit.
Right. The thing that frustrates me the most about Green as a villain is that he was deliberately this is a deliberate decision by Mark Forster to not make him grotesque like a regular James Bond villain would be. Forster doesn't get how the Bond franchise, he's like, I'm going to put a spin on it. I'm going to make just a boring guy.
Bond villains are supposed to be like professional wrestlers. They're supposed to have a fucking thing. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And this guy just looks like he had a bad day getting his coffee at Starbucks. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's not threatening. Nothing. There's nothing cool about him. Nothing.
Even the opening scene where you see him talking to Olga Kurylenko for the first time, and he's like, "Well, your other boyfriend didn't turn out," and it just cuts to like somebody who's barely drowned, just kind of floating right underneath the surface of the water. I'm like, I don't even think you did that. I don't even think you had a hand in that.
No,
you just saw somebody floating by and thought, okay, well, this is a good time to fuck with her.
Yeah. It's just weak mind game bullshit. He's a weak man, probably a cuck.
Probably.
Definitely a cuck.
I mean, he's really willing to let his girlfriend get fucked by a dictator who's about to come back into power.
Yeah, I mean...
That's cuck central right there.
Cuck central, bro.
Mm-hmm. So it's just so frustrating to watch this movie and think...
It's the
why
blue
would
balls
anyone...
of James Bond.
Yeah.
Like, there's not... Like, it's just, you feel... so unsatisfied.
There's nothing about this movie, watching it again, that made me think, oh yeah, this is a classic. This deserves to be part of the James Bond canon. You can write this off. Yeah. If you are a diehard James Bond fan, there's not much reason for you to even watch this movie. No. Bond doesn't look that good in this movie. No. M the whole time is just trying to shut him down.
And also, Mark Forster or whatever, he thought that Judi Dench was being underutilized.
Yeah.
In the James Bond franchise. So he's like, I'm just going to use her a bunch. Like, because that's why I tune in to fucking James Bond movies.
Right.
Is to see more Dame Judi Dench.
Yeah, of course.
Being a diplomat. Just ordering James Bond around like, oh, do whatever you want. She's never even been like, go kill him, Bond. No. She's just like a weird fucking maternal fucking Hillary Clinton person.
They call her mom a bunch in this movie. The only reason she's around is basically to just throw wrenches into Bond's works in this whole movie. She's telling him, I'm going to shut down your cards. We're going to not let you travel. She's going to send people to keep an eye on him who James Bond, because he's James Bond, is going to fuck that person. And you know what? Bond is trying to escape from the terribleness of this movie the entire time. He wants to make it more exciting.
Also, Daniel Craig was injured 3 times making this movie.
Well, he was
injured. He got a face scar where he had to have staples. Then he had, 6 screws put into his fucking shoulder.
Really?
6 screws for Quantum of Solace.
Such a shame.
Oh, my God. Plus, he's making badass movies outside of the James Bond franchise, like Munich. I would have loved to have taken 6 screws from Munich, the Jews.
Yeah.
But he's taking 6 screws for Quantum of Solace.
It's such a shame.
That means when it's cold out, he feels in his shoulder how bad Quantum of Solace is.
I feel the pain of my movies. It must be about to rain soon.
The barometric pressure reminds me how bad that movie was. This is fucked up.
It's such a shame that this movie, because they really, really I'd forgotten how some of the cast in this, like, you got David Harbour in there pre-Stranger Things. You got Jeffrey Wright pre all of his renaissance of source code in Westworld.
Right, he's playing Felix Leiter, which is one of my favorite characters from all the James. He's always kind of like the CIA counterpoint to James Bond. Like, if America gets to team up, Felix Leiter is who he's always talking to.
Right.
And Jeffrey comes back from Casino Royale, where he was very good.
Yep.
And it's just, it's weird. You look at it and you say, okay, well, we have all the ingredients for a real good cake.
Mm-hmm.
And you come out with a shit sandwich.
There's this
called Quantum of Solace.
It's just, this movie. Mark Forster had Guillermo del Toro and Alfonso Cuarón do cameos in this movie.
Right.
He should have had them do cameos in the fucking editing bays. He should have had them do cameos in the director's chair so he could make a compelling action movie. Something that's got just at least a modicum of all right, we're gonna let James Bond be James Bond,
right,
and let him run free, because that's the Quantum, the Casino Royale. That is Bond to a T.
Right.
And Skyfall is interesting because it takes the good action parts of James Bond, and you actually get to have a compelling story and you find out more about his past.
Right.
With that.
Also,
it marries the worlds.
A scary goddamn villain.
Yes.
Javier Bardem. Jesus. He is a haunting man.
So great. That sequence in Skyfall where he's introduced for the first time, it's just the long take of him walking across the fucking airplane hangar or whatever it is gold.
Yes. And sure, some of those Pierce Brosnan ones kind of got weird, like the ones that seemed like they were a car commercial for the Ford Thunderbird. What was that, Die Another Day?
Yep.
Which was supposed to spawn some sort of weird Halle Berry American James Bond movies called Jinx, and that never, and that movie was okay, even though, but still, one of the villains, had diamonds shot in his face.
Right.
So he had a diamond face.
Which is
compelling.
That's
fun.
Interesting.
Cool. Yes.
I like it.
A North Korean with diamond face.
That's a James Bond villain if ever there was one.
Exactly. And this guy is the CEO of Fuckville Island. Who gives a shit? So boring.
And here's how
it's named Quantum of Solace. It sounds like a math class you don't want to take.
Yeah. Fuck that. I'm not taking that elective.
No.
Here's how boring Quantum of Solace is. It's not even really about oil. It's about water. The most boring of all the commodities.
Well, that's what the fucking Big Short guy, apparently he invested all his money in.
I mean, I was thinking that, I was like, all right, I guess they're sort of ahead of the game of we're going to have somebody control the water.
Right.
And they have to do all that. But I'm like, well, I'd rather see, if you're going to have somebody who's that smart, let's give them some fucking, I don't know, let's have Christian Bale as the autistic dude from Big Short. Let's have him be the villain.
Yeah.
Let's have Michael Burry come in.
Yeah.
And be air drumming and listening to Slayer and trying to plot out where James Bond's going to be next.
Yeah. And I mean, probably ahead of its time. Water is probably gonna kill us all.
Oh, for sure it is.
In some way or form.
We're gonna run out of water real quick.
What if this is like a how-to guide on to survive the water wars that are coming, and we've just shit-talked out? We just shit-talked our survival guide.
I mean, that's real smart on the part of the producers to make a movie this boring be the thing that we're supposed to watch is how to survive in the water non-existent apocalypse.
I mean, without water, I wouldn't be able to hit this bong, so...
I mean, you could fill it up with something else, but would you want to? Would you want to put Pepsi in that bong?
I don't know if you can breathe Pepsi.
I used to do.
If someone could, it would definitely be me, a person who drinks a shit ton of it.
When I still smoked, I did in college. We did some bong loading experiments. I put milk in a bong. You ever done that?
No, tell me more about that. That's more interesting than Quantum of Solace.
You put milk in the bong. You have to be careful because you have to make sure it's one with a large enough stem, so that way the milk bubbles don't come all the way through. But it gets some nice. Oh, you get some nice milkiness. It's creamy. It's tasty.
Well, what if you're lactose intolerant?
Well, then just don't breathe it. Don't get the milk part in. Just get the milk smoke.
Milk smoke.
Yeah, you're good to go. That's my favorite vape flavors, milk smoke. Brings me back to those college days when we're smoking weed. We pulled out of a placemat because we couldn't afford to re-up at the time.
Okay.
And then we just mixed that in with whatever crumbs.
Yeah.
It's probably some cereal.
Definitely.
And then we poured in a milk bong.
Yep.
Cereal and milk.
Oh, man. Yeah. I used to have friends that would do like kind of stuff like that where like, every dude when they turn 21 or even before they turn 21, if they have their own place, above their cabinets, what should we put up there? I know, all the booze bottles we've ever finished.
Oh, yeah.
And then you get the whole thing filled up, and then we do this thing called mystery shot, which is where there's always just like a little bit of booze in every bottle left, and you would just empty them all into a glass.
Slam it.
Oh, God. And there would just be weird shit like up there, like fucking amaretto and then like a wine bottle. Like, oh,
yeah,
God.
Somebody's got some hypnotic up there.
Hypnotic. There we go. Aftershock.
Oh, yeah.
That giant thing of cinnamon.
Let's get some Alizé in there. I think part of the problem with this Bond movie, too, is that it's hard to do a James Bond movie that's not actually based on one of the Ian Fleming novels or stories.
Yeah.
And this is one of those movies that tries to do it and tries to make an original James Bond movie, only pulling the title from a James Bond story. And it just can't pull it off.
No. And like there's that weird James Bond movie from back in the day that like where like they were fighting with the production company or whatever, so they tried to do another one during the Roger Moore years, and they actually brought Sean Connery back in. I think it was You Only Live Twice.
I think so.
Yeah, and that's a weird one that's like not a Bond movie, but is a Bond movie.
Right.
And I mean, that one's not as bad as this. This one's just so bad.
How many of the James Bond movies have you seen?
All of them.
You've seen all of them?
I've seen every single one.
Is there
My dad was like a huge fan, and so like I watched all of them.
Is there anything that comes close to being as bad in the Bond canon as Quantum of Solace?
Actually, no, you're right. I was wrong. It's not You Only Live Twice. The movie that's not a part of the James Bond canon but is a James Bond movie is Never Say Never Again.
Oh, okay.
And it's pretty bad, but it's not as bad as this.
There's just...
Because it's Sean Connery. Like, you can't... Like, there's... In Her Majesty's Secret Service, which is George Lazenby. That's his only James Bond appearance.
One and done.
But that one's crazy because that's the one where James Bond's wife like gets shot right in front of him. So like he settles down, he's gonna be cool, and then his wife is just fucking murdered right in front of him. And so you're at least like, holy shit. But there are so many like weird James Bond movies. Like there's the one where Christopher Walken is the bad guy, and he has bright, violently bright blonde hair, like Guy Fieri
Which one
blonde
is this?
hair. Fuck, I think it's like him and Grace Slick are the villains, and it has something to do with horse racing. I remember that. Like they're giving horses steroids. Let me look up that one.
See, this just makes me wish I'd seen more James Bond movies.
Oh, man,
I'm still
so
way behind on the canon.
I also like this is something a lot of people don't like. Like Roger Moore is my favorite James Bond.
Really?
Yes.
What is it?
Rest his soul.
What's the secret sauce for you for Roger Moore?
Roger Moore just seemed like he could slay pussy. Like he was smooth. Like Sean Connery was smooth, but Roger Moore could just lay it down.
Okay.
And also, Roger Moore fucked black people, which, you know, I thought was kind of cool way back in the 70s.
Yeah.
Because they made Live and Let Die, and that's where he's fucking a voodoo princess, and then he also bangs the fucking medicine woman chick.
Okay.
From back in the day. It was Dr. Quinn, medicine woman.
Dr. Quinn.
Yeah, this is like when she was super young.
It went from Dr. Quinn to Dr. Christmas Jones.
Oh,
Such
man.
a shame in the Bond franchise.
Let me see. What was the name of that Bond movie?
There's something about, I think, the direction that people assume James Bond is going to go whenever they switch over to a new Bond. I remember the uproar about Daniel Craig being changed over to James Bond. And now we're getting to the next, we're clearly ending Daniel Craig's term, his tenure, as it were. A lot of people freaked out because they announced there's going to be a female 007 in this, even though it's still going to be, it's not James Bond.
Not in this movie theater.
Hey.
No, I'm just kidding.
But there's everybody says Idris Elba is going to be the new Bond.
That's fine with me.
He's smooth.
That is fine with me.
Smooth, suave. He can kick ass.
He, he fired Michael Scott.
Yeah.
Did
Did great work firing Michael Scott.
Yeah.
Nice job bringing in some wire crossover. I'm surprised that they didn't tap him to play a James Bond villain after he was in Beast of No Nation. Mm-hmm. He's so great and compelling in that.
Like, and he's a villain in the Hobbs and Shaw.
Oh, yeah.
A Fast and the Furious movie. Which one is it?
That's Hobbs and Shaw.
Yeah.
Fast and Furious presents Hobbs and Shaw. Same universe.
Yikes! First off, but yeah.
All right. If there's anybody from the Fast and Furious universe who you would pick to play James Bond, if they don't go Idris Elba, who are you going for? Do you go? Because the obvious choice, just because he's British, is Statham, but I don't think Statham's right for it.
No, he's too Cockney.
Mm-hmm. Can't have a Cockney Bond.
No.
Got to be a little bit more refined. But who do you get?
I mean, if I'm going to be honest, it's got to be Ja Rule.
Ja Rule.
Yeah.
Huh.
Ja.
What's the X Factor with Ja?
Rule. Ja Rule. Wouldn't it be funny if Bond went after somebody throwing a fry festival?
Oh my God.
That would be. Let's write that plot, Jay.
Actually, you know what? I would totally watch that.
Exactly.
I feel like this is fuck Quantum of Solace.
Right.
If we have James Bond going after, did you watch any of the Fire Festival documentaries that went out this year?
I have not.
Okay.
I've seen I've seen a couple of the memes, like the one guy who was talking about how he'd suck dick for water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you got the guy who is in charge of the Fire Festival, who fucked over Ja Rule, who fucked over that other guy, he looks pretty boring. He's sort of Mark Zuckerberg-y.
Yeah.
Bland, just a bland guy, white guy, tech person. If you gave him a limp and maybe a super big forehead or something like that, maybe he's got two noses for doing more cocaine
Komodo
with
dragons.
Yeah. Then that's a Bond villain right there.
Right.
I am all about that. And he brings everybody to his island to try and mass murder him or something.
If you're going to have a weak, physically weak villain, which some of them are because they always kind of have henchmen, but give me someone that I hate.
Right.
And not that I hate because they just are boring.
Yeah.
I know for a fact that I could beat the ever-loving shit out of Martin Shkreli, right?
Oh, yeah. 100%.
But he is so evil that he would fuck with you in some weird-ass way.
Martin Shkreli would be a great Bond villain, too.
Exactly. That's what the next Bond movie should be about. About
guys raising
someone
drug
just
prices.
raising drug prices, killing. What if Bond's best friend dies because he couldn't afford his insulin or some shit?
They're like, oh, someone's going to fuck with the Narcan supply.
Yeah.
And they're not going to be able to get people to stop overdosing in time.
That'd be some woke Bond bullshit right there. I'd love that.
Let's get James Bond and Felix Leiter to team up, and then they go into fucking Appalachia. They solve the opioid crisis.
Just a bunch of West Virginians going, who is this fag? Whoa.
You guys, we don't.
You can't do that.
I'm not a fag, I'm British. Then,
I'm
but
not
then
a
Statham
it's just James Bond going, I'm not a cigarette.
I think it's just, man, it makes me so sad. I remember even at the very end when Bond is fighting Dominic Green, and the thing that I'm mad at Dominic Green about is not that he's done some shit to the water supply and he's, figured out his land grabs. It's that he's screaming like a little girl when he's trying to take swings at Bond with this weird piece of rebar that he's attacking him with. He doesn't sound threatening at all.
Like even villains, like I'm trying to think of like other villains that have been in the fight like that. Like the Joker in Dark Knight is basically swinging rebar at someone, and he's not screaming like a maniac.
Right.
So
I'd rather see some of that.
Yeah, it's like a beta male cuck is trying to beat up a Chad. Except the Chads always win, baby.
This movie's really ahead of its time.
Yeah.
It's talking about water. It's talking about incels.
Yes.
God.
Yeah, he's OG incel right there, probably.
Yeah, Elliot Rodger watched this movie and was like, "Oh, this guy's onto something." Is there a movie that you would recommend people watch in the Bond canon? Maybe an underrated one. You like Roger Moore? What's your favorite Roger Moore Bond?
I like Live and Let Die because it's crazy.
Okay.
It's just crazy because it's like he has to go to America, right? Roger Moore has to go to America,
okay,
because there's a drug problem in Harlem, which means Roger Moore has to go to Harlem, and it is in 1975 or 74 or something. So like they're just speaking mad jive, and he's just like, okay, I don't know what's going on, but like, of course, the James Bond takes over where he's like, I have no idea what's going on, but also I want to fuck that black girl. So, like, at the end of the day, you always just have to think, James Bond's dick gets him in so much trouble. And so it's one of those things. And then at the end of it, he fucks a witch doctor, like a white fortune teller, and the main drug dealer uses her as like a voodoo princess to keep from getting arrested and shit in his own mind.
Okay.
Like he believes in voodoo so much that he thinks that having this fortune teller around is good luck. And then James Bond fucks her, and then she throws out some tarot cards and it looks like bad news, and he was like, why'd you fuck my good luck charm? That's the plot of the movie.
God, I gotta watch this movie.
And there's a fucking
Is the black
Baron
girl-
Samedi is in it from Goldeneye, like the guy with the top hat, and the skull mask, and like he's a 7-foot black guy that comes out of coffins and shit.
Oh, some voodoo shit.
Yeah, that's like an underlying plot. It's basically like James Bond has to deal with Harlem drug dealers and voodoo. Also, Paul McCartney and Wings. So
Please tell me Bond fucks a girl named Geraldine Curl in that movie.
oh man, I'll tell you the name.
Sorry,
of the fucking.
my name's Geraldine Curl. Can I call you Jerry?
I'll tell you the name of the fucking lady.
I gotta watch that. That'll be next on my list. I gotta watch some of the old Connerys, and then I'll go straight to Live and Let Die.
Live and Let Die, 1973. 007 is sent to stop a diabolically brilliant heroin magnate armed with a complex organization and a reliable psychic tarot card reader. Hell yes. And so Jane Seymour plays Solitaire,
Okay.
the tarot card reader.
Oh,
And then also...
Jane Seymour. Damn.
yeah, dude, she's killing it. And then the black lady he fucks is just named Rosie.
Oh.
So
Well, they could have tried a little bit harder on that one, but it's
Yeah.
okay. I'm gonna go watch that instead. Alex, dude, thanks for talking James Bond with me. It's nice to get some added, even though Quantum of Solace is a fucking hot pile of garbage. I'm glad I
Yeah.
got to learn a little bit more about this sweet franchise.
thank you. I'll just drink a Pepsi shake and no, I don't want it.
Smoke a milk
Yeah.
bong.
Yeah, weed.
There you go.
Shaken, not stirred. Hell yes.
Where can listeners find you on the social medias and stuff and see some shows?
On Instagram, you could find me at Illuminati _HR_rep. because I'm an insane person.
Probably my favorite Instagram handle.
Thank you so much. It's a fun thing. I get random like Illuminati, like real Illuminati, like accounts that will like follow me
like
and
JC.
start sending me messages, and I'm just like, nah, dog, this is just a joke.
Don't try and wrap me up in Q, please.
Yeah, they were just like, "Are you sure you don't want to like make a bunch of money?" I was like, "I'm good. Like, I don't need your legit pyramid scheme."
Oh my
deal with this
God!
stuff.
Something just occurred to me.
What?
Q is
Oh.
part of the conspiracy theories, right?
Yeah.
Q's in James Bond. They better have a fucking tie into that in the next James Bond movie.
Yeah, who would play Q? Because what the one guy from Doctor Who is Q now, right?
Yeah,
Matt Smith.
No, it's Ben Whishaw,
Okay,
who from Perfume and some other movies. Does a
wasn't
real
it
good
Matt
job.
Smith for a while?
I think Matt Smith was in the Brosnan era. I think because I know they didn't have him at all in Quantum and Casino Royale.
Right, and John Cleese was kind of like taking over for Q when Q was like getting really old,
Right.
in the Pierce Brosnan age, and then Matt Smith, or I don't know who it was. It was somebody from I thought Doctor Who was in maybe one of the movies.
Maybe. I'll have to double
Maybe
check that one.
Skyfall, and I think like he met him and all he handed him was a gun that like had a fingerprint thing, and he goes, "That's it. There's no like this, that," and he goes, "Yeah, we don't do that shit anymore."
Yeah.
I love that line. So, and then Twitter, you can follow me at Alex Price Indeed.
Nice. And if you're ever in the Indianapolis area in the Midwest, come check out Alex. He's performing there all the time. He's got some great shows.
Yeah.
So he's a fucking great
Every
comic.
Sunday we have a show at Black Circle Brewing with folks like you that are stopping through town.
Oh yeah.
And then other folks, all the other places. So
Good stuff.
yeah.
You can follow me at Diet J on Twitter and Instagram, jlightcomedy.com for show dates. Subscribe on Patreon. Subscribe on the fucking YouTube. Not YouTube. I mean, you can do that too there if you want. But Facebook group. And if you like the show, tell a friend. And that's about it, guys. This has been Blockbusting.
When's this coming out?
This will be out on Friday.
So if anybody wants to see me, you can see me December 12th through the 14th at St. Louis Helium with Matt Bronger.
Nice.
yeah.
Love Matt.
Good
Fucking
times.
Good guy. Good times. This has been Blockbusting. Go see something good for a change.
Yeah.
Yeah.